Hello.
Hello, guys.
Welcome to Hello, the podcast with me, Jenz, and Raammo.
Hello. Hi. That's me.
It is episode 39. We're almost at the 40.
That's fast.
Mm.
That's fast. It's been a wild ride. 39
It
episodes,
has.
39 weeks, almost straight. Almost 39 weeks straight.
Yeah, I think we just missed one.
We missed 1 week just because we were both super busy and couldn't find a time to re-record it. But that's fine because, life gets in the way.
It is what it is.
Nobody's perfect, yeah.
Exactly.
How
have you been?
39 weeks. You know what? I've been pretty good so far. This past week has been
That's
kind of
good.
okay, nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
Picked up the new FIFA. Been playing a fair bit of FIFA.
Oh yeah, you enjoying it?
Don't really know why. I am enjoying it as much as people do like to shit on FIFA and stuff like that, and so do I. To a healthy amount. Like it is kind of a dumb purchase to make every single year because they don't change too much.
I mean that's like COD, but
you could say that for a bunch of games too. It's not just FIFA that does it, but
True.
FIFA's probably the prime example and the best example of sort of developers that are a bit lazy and just sort of spit out the same thing every year. But it is still a bit of fun. I just mainly play it with the boys. Like we like to play pro clubs, which is, for those that don't know, FIFA is basically where there's however many of us. There's usually 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, and we all just get to control a single player on the field at the same time and verse other people that are doing exactly the same thing. It's it's just good for a little bit of banter and just a bit of shit talk. That's really what we play it for. But it's been fun. And other than that, me and Emma started watching Silicon Valley. We have already pushed through season 1 because they're quite short episodes.
Amazing.
And it's I haven't seen it in a little while since they did the final season. This show is so good, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Is she enjoying it?
Every
more
time,
importantly?
She is. She
Okay,
really
good.
likes it so far. So it's good. And I just tell her every season somehow just gets better and better.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. This show is so good. I can't recommend it enough for those that haven't seen it. If you guys haven't, please go and watch Silicon Valley. It's currently on binge. If you don't want to give Mr. Murdoch any money, I'm sure there are other ways you could find it, but it is a very, very good show. I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. But enough about me. What have you been up to, Jenz, for this past couple of days?
We had a very busy week, Bajo and I. We basically didn't have a day off last week, so we took Monday and Tuesday off. So we built some
Lego break.
Yeah, we were.
I did see that.
Very busy.
Is it you got the Seinfeld one, wasn't?
Yeah, we did the Seinfeld one. Okay. We didn't fight, which is good. It was a good build.
I was gonna say, how would you fight over Lego?
Because look, it started off rocky. It was like, hey, are you not reading the instructions? She's like, no, I go by feel. It's like, no, you gotta read.
You know what? I retract my statement. If you were building it with the same person, you probably wouldn't fight. But I did just remember you were building it with Steven, so it does make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, he had made a couple of mistakes, and I'm like, it's because you didn't read how many pieces you needed. And so eventually he learned that no, you can't just look at it and think guess.
You can't just guesstimate.
Yeah.
It's not like me baking. There's a strict formula and there's a strict structure to how to do it. When I bake, I sort of just guesstimate some of the things because I'm not gonna measure. I'm not going to get a teaspoon out just to measure what a teaspoon is. I'm just going to get a little bit of baking powder and just guesstimate that looks like roughly a teaspoon.
Okay.
Okay. And that's why I suck at baking. It's always turn out super flat.
Yeah.
It's super dry. Baking is very much a science, but it is. It's a science. There's very strict measurements. So, and Lego's exactly the same. There's very strict measurements you got to follow. There's very strict rules.
But we finished that. It was all good, and we started Squid Game, which I'd love for you to try.
You said you watched the first 20 minutes of the episode last week. But like I said last week too, it is definitely on our list. We just have to like find that there's so many things that we like
I
start
know.
and then half finish and then
I
like we
know.
should go back to that. But like I think Squid Game is the one that we want to binge and like just sort of finish it in a weekend or something like that. Because how many episodes are there total? Are there
I don't know
like
how many, but they're hour-longs, so they're not short.
okay, yeah,
But they
yeah, no,
don't feel long either.
it leads me to believe that it should be like probably
8?
like 8 episodes, I would
Something like
imagine.
that, yeah.
Something like that. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I highly
I
recommend.
do definitely want to watch it. Let me have
Yeah.
a quick look here. I'm gonna pull it up. Hopefully, nothing fucking screams at me. There are 9 episodes.
9, okay.
Yeah, they all roughly go for an hour, like Jen said, except one, which goes for 30 minutes.
What?
Quite weird, but yeah, okay.
I
it is
did
definitely on my
also
list, you know.
saw that you're gonna watch Shang-Chi soon.
Thank God. Oh,
Monday, right?
Monday night, 7:45 p.m.
Don't dox
Me and Emma
yourself.
will both be in. I don't know where I am. 7:45 p.m. We will be sitting.
What seat?
In
What
row
seat
H.
number?
Hang on, let me give you a sec. I'll pull it up. I got it on my phone here. They sent me a.
Are you not going in gold class?
No, I think we're gonna save gold class for another thing. We could maybe even do. I'm thinking maybe
No Time to
James Bond
Die
would be fun in gold class.
Yeah.
Because then we can like sort of dress up a bit fancy.
Yes.
Like, yeah, me and Emma on Monday the 11th, 7:45 p.m. We'll be in seats H11 and H12. So if you do see us, come by and say hello.
Wear your masks if you do, please.
We will be wearing masks. Don't worry.
Good.
Yeah, as like I think like I said, I don't know if we said it on the podcast or if we said it like just in Discord, like when we're playing games or not. But me and Emma, like as much as we are still gonna go.
Oh yeah, you did mention
do things and stuff like that. You know, we're still gonna sort of keep it a bit low key and like we're not gonna go, like super crazy with it all. That's why we thought as well, like cinemas might be a good place to start because they're still gonna have, I think, restrictions on the amount of people that are going to be in there. I still think they're doing the distancing. I'm not too sure. But even if they're not, no one wants to sit next to people anyways in a cinema. Like they always keep a seat or two as distance.
I think that's why Bajo and I have been loving gold class. Like it's not cheap, but it is so secluded.
Naturally have the distance between.
Yeah, and it's quieter and there's no kids screaming. It's just a very nice experience.
It's a pleasant experience, yeah, compared to sort of the rustle and bustle of normal cinemas. But yeah, no, super excited for that. I saw at like 7:30, 8 o'clock on, what was it, Monday night, I think. A couple of days ago, I saw my local cinema post on Facebook. They're like, hey, ticket. We opened up bookings for Monday now, the 11th, because that's when the state sort of opens up.
Yeah. So you bought it the same day.
I immediately texted Emma.
Yeah,
I was like, what are you doing Monday night? And she was like, nothing. I was like, perfect. Meet me at the shops at this time. And we're going to watch Shang-Chi.
We're going.
But yeah, no, I can't wait. I'm super excited. I haven't been to the cinemas in probably like 2 or 3 years now, it feels like. And I've heard a lot of good news about Shang-Chi,
I think
from
you will
and
like it.
the rest of the internet. I have managed to dodge spoilers like the plague, which is great. So I'm going in practically blind. I have no sort of expectation of what to expect or anything like that. So I'm super. I can't wait. Man. And then I also told him, like, I was looking on the cinema's website too for like the next month or two of what's coming out, because I was like, when is Venom coming out? Because I've seen a lot of people talk about No Time to Die because it's out in Europe and I think North America already. Yeah. But same with Venom too, and I was like, I feel like Venom might already be out as well in Australia. But no, it comes out sometime in November. But yeah, in November we have The Eternals, and then we have No Time to Die, and then we have Venom. And so I was like, Emma, November we are going like back to back for all these things. It feels like almost every week we have a movie to go and see, which is great. So
that's great though.
And then weirdly, I was quite concerned. I might have to bring this up to them when I go see them on Monday. But they don't have a listing up for the new Spider-Man movie that's coming out in December. But they do have a listing for Ghostbusters, which is coming out on the 1st of January. And I was like, now you're starting to worry me a little bit here, because
that is very worrying.
Where am I going to see this movie? And like maybe they're just waiting like a couple of weeks until they get confirmation that tickets can go on sale at this date or something like that. That might be the thing. But yeah, I'm still a bit worried, so I might have to talk to the manager
Yeah.
and just ask. But
yeah. Talk to the supervisor.
I'm sure. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine.
I did do one really cool thing yesterday, which by the time you guys listening this, the embargo has been lifted. But I played Battlefield 2042. Because the beta goes live as of recording today, but we played it yesterday, and
this is true.
I am very excited, and I think you will like it.
Oh, I'm expecting to love it. Yeah, I have high hopes for this new Battlefield. I think, like we said when we talked about it last time, I think it's one of our most anticipated games towards the end of the year.
Absolutely.
I was, I was almost tempted to pre-order it just so I can get into the early access beta, but then I was like, you know what? I might just wait a day or two. Like it's not super bad. I just got to remember. I had a look at the times. I think tomorrow, or no, the 8th. Sorry, the 8th at 6:00 Australian Eastern Time. I can start downloading the beta for everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm also really want to get into this just to see how my system's going to run it, because I'm a little bit worried that it's going to be quite.
I think you'd be fine.
I think I'll be all right if I turn some settings down. Obviously, I'm not going to have everything maxed out, but I just before I drop $100 on this game, because it is going to be like $90-$100 on PC. I just want to make sure that it runs nice and smooth.
Yeah, totally.
Some games can, you can get away with some like frame rate issues and things like that. But I feel like first person shooters and shooters where you like, or not just shooters in general, but like games where you need to have fast reflexes, it needs to run smooth.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing I want to test before I do like take the plunge and pick it up. But other than that, cannot wait for this weekend. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. Shall we begin with today's topics?
I was gonna say, I feel like that's the longest intro we've ever done. So yeah, let's jump straight into the news. Jenz, now this one I have honestly been waiting for a little while.
Really?
But yeah, because I like my achievements, man. It's like that. It's like that. A lot of people don't care, but it's like I like the satisfaction hearing that little ding and then be like, "Hey, you got this."
I like cute achievements, but I don't search for them. Anyways.
Me neither. I don't go out hunting for them and things like that. Other than on the Spider-Man game for PS5 and PS4.
Oh yeah, because you tried to 100% it.
I'm still right under it. I'm like at 99% or something. Damn. I've just got to go for the end platinum thing. It's just sort of chugging through all the remainder missions and whatnot. But yeah, for those that don't know, 3 years now after the Epic Game Store has been released into the world, it finally got achievements. Finally. So after its launch in 2018, and it's now October of 2021, Epic Game Store finally implemented achievements. Now, some of you might be a bit confused because there have been, or you might have noticed as well, in some games on the Epic Game Store, there were already achievements, but these weren't sort of put in system-wide. They're what they call, what Epic now calls developer achievements.
Yeah.
So they were put in the games by the developers on, a game-by-game basis, so not every single game had them. But now, coming next week, it'll be a platform-wide sort of achievement system, just like what you would expect on Xbox Live or Steam or a lot of the other launches that are out there. And it's going to be called Epic Achievements. So, for all those achievement hunters out there that have been using the Epic Game Store, you'll now get achievements, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, and I think it's XP is the short form, basically.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Like I said, I'm kind of excited for it, because I always like the satisfaction of hearing a little ding go off and be like, you did this. It's just, it's kind of fun.
And then
I guess for the two. Exactly. And I guess as well, it's like once you do complete a game, and if you did really enjoy that game, you can sort of go back and it gives you extra things to do other than just play the campaign again, on hard difficulty or something like that. It's like you can push for these extra, as silly as it sounds, achievements.
I get that.
So it's,
I'm curious to know if that can lead to anything further. Like,
what do you mean?
Like, if you get 100 XP, what would that mean? Do you get anything? Do you get a badge?
Yeah, can you redeem it? Can you redeem it for 5% off on the Epic
Could you
Game
imagine
Store
if you could
like that?
That'd be
It wouldn't
interesting.
surprise me. They're really pushing people to get onto their store and things like that.
Yeah.
Understandably, everyone wants as many customers they can get, which is why they give out the free games every month. But
Yep.
it honestly wouldn't surprise me if Epic did have an incentive for, achievement hunters and things like that, and people that do want to get, 100% of the achievements. I don't think it'd be too much of a like a prize if they did do something,
Yeah, I don't
because
think so
obviously there are a
either.
lot of people out there that do like that's all they do is they just hunt achievements. Like they want to have 100% in every single game they play.
Hmm.
So obviously those people are going to be a lot better off than the rest of us that don't hunt them down. Like like the end of the world. Um, but
Yeah.
it's, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Other than that, I feel like, like you said, probably just badges or things like that we already sort of have on Steam. Like, that'd be kind of cool. Because then you can display it like on your Epic account profile and things. It'd be, yeah, and then you compare them to your friends and all that sort of stuff. But
Some
yeah,
clout there. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It'd be fun to see. But anywho, Jens, moving on.
Mm.
This one, it kind of took me by surprise. A lot of these things I was on my break this morning at work. I was just sitting out the back of the chair having a coffee and reading up on some news topics. But this one kind of took me by surprise.
I'm kind of
Because it
surprised
doesn't
and not so
sound.
surprised.
I don't know. It just, yeah, it doesn't
Makes
strike me as
sense.
something that a Japanese company
Would do.
would be focusing on.
Yeah.
But yeah, for those of you that haven't heard, Capcom, our lovely friends over at Capcom that make all of the Resident Evil games and a bunch of other cool stuff, are planning to make PC its main platform in the
Mm.
coming years. Which, yeah, like I said, I don't know, for a Japanese company, that seems kind of weird. You would expect a lot of them to, focus a lot on PlayStation specifically, but just consoles in general,
Yeah.
because that's sort of what they've been doing for the past 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, Capcom, as it says, widely known as one of the most prominent developers of third-party console games dating as far back as the NES. It appears to be shifting their focus for the future. So
You
the
gotta
company,
follow
I
the
guess, has
money.
noticed. Yeah, well, that's what it says. The company has noticed an ever-growing PC gaming audience. Just globally, I guess. And is planning on making that its main platform.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of interesting. It does say that, considering in 2019, Monster Hunter World's second largest audience was on PC. I'm assuming after PlayStation, I would imagine. Um,
Yeah. That would make sense.
and then Resident Evil Village as well also set a franchise record for concurrent players on Steam with 101,000, just under 102,000 players, when that game came out. So, Capcom can directly see that there are people that
There's a
do
big
want to play their
demand
games
on
on
PC. Yeah.
PC.
I
Yeah.
also think
Um
maybe mods might have done like. Do you reckon mods have a
that
thing? Because Resident Evil
I feel
games are
like,
quite notorious for mods.
yeah, I feel like that would have a place in it too. Like obviously people always want to, get the absolute most out of the game. So
Yeah.
modding it, gives that. And then also like PCs just in general being able to have a lot more power and things like that. You can play
Absolutely. Yeah.
Resident Evil at a higher fidelity than you can on a normal Xbox or a normal PlayStation 4, for example. So, there's that benefit too. But
Mm.
it's I don't know, it's just very interesting because they just don't strike me as the company to be able to, oh, to do this, I guess. I
Yeah.
feel like it's just
I
a bit
wonder
weird,
what
but
it's gonna change. Like, is it gonna be like? Is it gonna look heaps better? Is it? Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
feel
Cause
like I feel like what they're going to do in the future, because typically what would happen for these types of things, like in the past, is they would develop for consoles because that was their primary audience, obviously, and then they would port that version of the game to PC.
yeah,
And so you couldn't see too many differences, between the PC version of the game and the console version of the game because they were practically one and the same. Like there was maybe some better lighting or maybe some high quality, assets and things like that, but nothing too crazy. Now what I'm expecting to see is Capcom to develop solely for, or not solely, but mainly for PC devices first and foremost, and then port that version and downgrade it a bit towards what the consoles can handle. Um, who knows now though with obviously the new PS5 and the new Xbox and
yeah,
things like that out, obviously they're a lot more powerful and a lot more sort of up to standard as what is a lot of modern PCs could output. So who knows if that downgrade is going to be much of anything, or if it's going to be pretty much 1-to-1, because they're a lot more powerful these days, like I said. So they might not even have to turn down too many settings to port them over. It could just be sort of a simple copy and paste, in simple terms.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I'm expecting from this. Yeah. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Well, yeah, I guess we'll see how it goes. I can't think off the top of my head what Capcom would be releasing next,
The
because I
only
don't
thing I
think
can
they
think
have
of is a
anything.
remaster of
Well,
4,
I think in
which I think they
the
teased.
latest Nintendo Direct, they did tease a little bit of that on Twitter, but they haven't confirmed anything, or they
Yeah,
haven't
no.
denied anything as well either.
Yeah.
But I think in the latest Nintendo Direct, they did have either a new Monster Hunter game, or like a new expansion for the current Monster Hunter
Oh,
game. I
okay.
can't remember, because I don't follow that franchise too much, but I think that's their next
endeavor.
next release. But obviously that's on Switch, so after that, I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, very interesting. Very interesting news, I thought. So
speaking of our favorite game developers, Apple, our well-loved game developer.
I love Apple. Yeah, can't get enough of them, Jenz.
I know. Apple made more money on games than Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, and Activision combined in 2019.
That baffles me.
Just these kids.
Absolutely baffles me.
So, Apple has made $8.5 billion in operating profits from gaming in 2019.
And that's probably USD too.
That's very likely USD. Despite not even developing consoles or major AAA games on its own.
So just for example, just for reference, that's 11.69 billion Australian dollars. Yeah.
Man. From a
kinda nutty
place that don't even make games, they've made more than the people who make games.
Yeah. That's incredible. And it is mainly or it is all from I'm sure most of you guys are aware, if you were to release an app on the App Store, Apple by default takes a 30% cut from all purchases that are either made through the App Store or made through your app. So let's say you upload a $2.99 app to the App Store that people have to buy to even download. Apple makes 30% off that.
I mean,
and then
Twitch subs are more
microtransaction, Twitch subs are more expensive too.
That's because Apple takes a cut.
Exactly. But they also do. Twitch has a workaround for that too, which is one thing I want to get into in this a little bit, because some apps have started to do workarounds for things like that. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit.
Sure.
And then obviously as well, like Jen sort of just mentioned, in-game purchases, in some apps, like if you buy coins or whatever you buy in an app, that also gets the 30% cut from Apple.
That's nuts.
So they're making, 30% isn't a small amount. They're making quite a considerable amount of money off every little. And you think too, like everyone these days has a phone in their pocket. A lot of the population have iPhones or Apple devices. And they're making purchases daily or weekly or monthly, what have you. There's a lot of people in the world that are generating these sort of 30% cuts, which obviously all adds up to $8.5 billion US. Which is incredible, absolutely incredible.
It's crazy, and it's reported that players have spent $45 billion on mobile games on the App Store in 2020. So I just feel like this number is just going to get bigger and bigger with the gaming population growing and, COVID, people staying indoors and stuff.
You say that, but it does mention here too, the top two regions for spending were China and the US, respectively. But going forward, Apple might actually see a decline in that total number because, as you guys are probably aware, we covered it a couple of weeks ago. China implemented the new law that sets for kids can't play more than 3 hours for online games a week or whatever it was. So they could see quite a heavy decrease in
it'd be huge if this is the case.
Having said that, Yeah, having said that, they could actually see an increase in some weird ways
Yeah.
because a lot of the games that have these in-game
Time
purchases,
locked?
they're time-based. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're time-locked things. And so I'm like, these kids, they obviously
Fuck.
realize they can only play 3 hours a week. They're gonna have to spend money to be able to catch up to everyone
Candy
else in the world.
Crush.
Yeah, so they could actually see an increase in people buying, like the time unlocks and things like that to be able to bypass the timeout that they get. Um, which, it could honestly go either way. Like, it's kind
It
of funny,
could.
it could heavily reduce the total, or it could probably double it. Like, it's kind of crazy to think about. But
Could you
yeah, like
imagine? Sorry,
you go on. No, go on.
Could you imagine? You know how Fortnite and Apple had this fight of not having Fortnite on Apple or something like that?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if
Yep.
Fortnite was imported to Apple, how much money they would have made?
Yeah, it would have been absolutely nutty. But it's funny you mention that because that does tie in directly to what I was saying before.
Oh,
The
with the
reason
workaround.
that the reason that Fortnite was booted off the App Store in the first place was because Apple caught onto the fact that Epic were using a workaround to bypass um the 30% cut. So I think
Right.
if you downloaded Fortnite on Apple, obviously it was Fortnite's a free to play game, so there was no 30% revenue cut. But Epic, sort of wanted to keep as much revenue from the game as they could, which was, kind of understandable.
Yeah.
It's
It's
the
their
biggest game
game.
in the world, and they obviously want to make the most money out of it as they can. They don't really want to have to share that with anyone if they can get around it. And so what I think they were doing was they made it so that whenever you wanted to do an in-game purchase, it took you out of the app to the
Right.
browser like Safari or Chrome or what have you. You signed in with your Epic ID or whatever, and you made the purchase there. So it was just like, doing an online shopping deal. It wasn't so you were buying an
Yeah.
in-game purchase. And then you'd go back to the app and it would take, 30 seconds or whatever, and it would refresh your account and you'd have the V-Bucks there or whatever you bought would be on your account. Which is also, funnily enough, what they do on Android too, because Android do also have a similar deal to Apple. I think it's only 10 or 20%. It's not
Oh,
as
that's
much,
not
but they
too
still do
bad.
take a cut.
Yeah.
But even to download the Fortnite app, you have to go through the browser and you have to do a thing called side loading, basically, which is where you download the launcher from the browser, not through the Google Play Store. And so Google
Okay.
don't then get any revenue from it, which is fine. But yeah, after that, I think Apple caught on that, Epic were doing it, and they're like, no, this violates our terms of, terms of service or whatever, and they booted their app off the store. And Jen's mentioned before Twitch. Obviously the Twitch app, you can watch streams and things like that from your phone or tablet. And Twitch obviously wanted people to sub on mobile devices too, because that would be a huge demographic of viewers that couldn't sub, just because their phone wouldn't allow it, or they had to pay a 30% cut. And so what's Twitch has done on their mobile versions of the app, is instead of just paying $4.99 US to sub to whatever streamer you want, you have to, very similar to a lot of video games and things like that, buy coins, like a bundle of coins.
Right.
And then you can use those coins to sub to streamers. But what Twitch has done is like they've made it so that the coins are 30% more expensive than buying a sub if you did it through like a browser or a laptop or whatever, to offset the 30% cut to Apple. So Twitch is still making their bottom line at the end of the day, and also paying the 30% to Apple. It's kind of a sketchy way to do it, but Apple doesn't care because they still get their 30%,
Yeah,
but
okay.
yeah, it's they you can't just do like what Epic did, and it's obviously, I guess, part of their terms of service, but you can't just bypass it completely. Like, Apple wants that 30%. Which I guess as well is kind of understandable, because as much as Epic want to make the most of their game, they're putting it onto these devices which aren't owned by them, and obviously the owners of those devices want to make revenue too, because it's their devices. They develop them, they sell them, they fork out all the cash for them. So it's kind of understandable both ways.
I just feel like the amount is a bit crazy. That's all.
It is. It's kind of 30%. That's kind of nutty. like,
Yeah.
if it was 15 or 20%, that might be a bit more bearable for a lot of companies to swallow. But you think too, like Epic's a large company, so 30% of all purchases from Epic would have actually hit quite hard for them. But you think too, like there's a lot of developers out there, that are indie developers and whatnot. 30% is a lot to them too, because obviously their game's not getting um, as much, sort of, I guess, eyes on it, like Fortnite is and was. So it's a lot harder for those indie developers to even make money in the first place, let alone Apple taking 30% from them every time,
Yeah.
someone purchases the game or, purchase something in the game. So it's, I don't know. I feel like Apple's kind of greedy and they're not going to even think about changing this in the future. But,
No.
I feel like it would be good for them to change it. Like a lot of people would be happy about it, especially developers.
Or scaled,
Yeah,
like there's like a
that.
way for indie developers to get less of a hit.
Yeah, you're probably touching more on like into that. That'd be similar to paying tax every year. Like depending on your
That's
income
true.
bracket, as to how much tax you pay each year.
Which
and
is
like
very ironic because Apple pay no tax. So
they don't pay shit. It'd be funny if they did implement something like that. But it would be kind of smart too, because then it would make more sense for obviously the big developers are going to pay more, or they're going to try and bypass more. And then obviously the smaller developers that don't earn as much as Epic and some of these other companies, don't have to pay as much, which would be kind of good because it would incentivize a lot more developers to release their games on the App Store. You know, but yeah, be interesting too because Apple, do they also have their Apple Games?
yeah, they've got
now
Apple
too.
Arcade, which is a flat fee of
that's the
something
one.
a month.
Yeah, which is very interesting too because then that adds a whole nother dynamic to it all.
Mm-hmm. It's not
They'd
their
probably
games.
obviously take. Yeah, no, it's not. But
Ugh.
I don't know. Apple's a fun company, I tell you. They're just something else.
Hey, as an Apple user, I am guilty.
Look, don't worry. As much as I do sort of despise their products, they are very good products. I did for a little while when my uni laptop broke. As I was waiting for a new one to come in, I was using a MacBook. And they are quite good devices. I don't think I'd ever go as far as to use an iPhone, but I could see myself very easily using a MacBook for things.
Yeah.
Because they're not bad.
You're gonna get a lot of hate from Hula and probably.
Yeah, I am. No, it's fine though. I feel like anyone that works in tech sort of understands that they do have their purpose. They do have a use case.
Yeah.
Like they're not just a meme
They're not
devices.
just like
they
a
are
show
kind of
off.
expensive. Like no. But it's they do have a use. Having said that though, Emma said because a lot of her work is like she uses a MacBook for a lot of her work and stuff like that because it works with her workflow. She was like, if I do end up going and doing like work for her and things like that over the summer break because like I won't be doing uni things.
Yeah.
She would have to buy me a MacBook because the applications she used just don't work on Windows. Like there's no Windows equivalent to it, so I would have to use a MacBook.
Yeah, it's very limiting if you're a Mac person or in the whole Apple universe. It's quite limiting to other products.
They do sort of try and trap you in as best they can. There's ways around it. Like you can dual, which is what I was using too. Well, not just port, but I was dual booting Windows on the MacBook that I was using. So you can have it so that when you turn the Mac off, if you hold options when you turn it back on, the option button, sorry, if you have it installed, you can boot to Windows. Which was kind of handy because, like, at uni, some of the apps that I did need didn't have a Mac counterpart. And so I had to use Windows, naturally. And so it would boot into Windows, and then every time that I didn't need it, I would just boot into Mac OS, and it would be fine, But it's I don't know, very interesting that they can make so much from 30%. Anyways, going back on topic, it's kind of crazy, Moving on though, Jenz. Now this excited me a lot because, as I'm sure most of you guys know, I'm a big Mario fan. I absolutely adore Mario games. They're sort of my bread and butter growing up. I haven't had the chance to play Super Mario Sunshine yet, because I'm still working my way through Super Mario 64 from that collection.
Right.
And I'm going to go through them like, naturally as I complete each one. But this might tempt me to sort of try and pick it up on the PC, like undercover. But there's a mod that is coming out for Super Mario Sunshine called Super Mario Eclipse, which, is this massive sort of project from the fans of the Super Mario Sunshine game and the modding community. And I'm just going to read a little bit here. It's a massive mod that expands Mario's Isle of Delfino, the Delfino Plaza, as a lot of people know. Adventure with new moves, new worlds, new playable characters, and a whole new story. So it's not just some like little mod where it's not just some little mod where they've like upgraded the textures and like, you can play Luigi now. It's a whole new thing. So I think it's still in beta. I think a little demo dropped a couple of weeks ago for those that want to try and find it. But there's a ton of stuff. It looks kind of cool. It's not playable on console form because it's restricted to emulators and things like that. Which is why you sort of got to do the sneaky to get it. It's not. This obviously isn't a verified Nintendo product, so. But having said that, I was very surprised that it was even like going ahead because usually Nintendo is really quick to smush these things out like before they get any headway.
I feel like they're gonna be mad. So if you were gonna do like this, download it straight away.
Yeah, I feel like as soon as Nintendo catch wind, lawsuit immediately.
Absolutely.
Especially the fact that you have to use ROMs because. I think it wasn't earlier this year. It was like a year or two ago. But Nintendo went after two of the most popular like ROM distributing websites online and hit them with like a crazy big lawsuit. Like incredible.
For distributing mods?
Yeah. Well, not for distributing mods, but because the ROM is obviously a rip of like, the cartridge file. And so it's practically, it's pirating the game, practically. Yeah. And so, obviously, you're distributing these ROMs for free for people to download so they can go and play all these Nintendo games for free, where they should rightly be, paying for it, which, I understand. It's, it is piracy at the end of the day. So, there's no way around it.
You wouldn't
it's,
download
what they were doing were wrong. But no, exactly. Yeah. Don't be silly. You wouldn't screenshot an NFT. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be snuffed out of the water very quickly, sure. Unfortunately, because this does look really cool. I'm a big fan of any Mario thing, like I said. So seeing people sort of perfect a game even more so than it already was is super cool. But it's I don't know. I think I might have to try and get access to it real sneakily. Give it a go.
Nintendo, I don't know this man. I am not accomplice.
No,
I would not download Car.
But Nintendo, if you do want to work together in any part of the future, hit my line. A big Mario fan. I love the game. So yeah. No. But yeah, kind of cool.
Yeah.
Jenz, do you want to take us into the last news topic of the week before we jump into our Marvel news, though?
Absolutely. PlayStation 5 is having a thing called game trials, which is kind of what you expect. Yeah,
just call it a demo.
All right, it's a demo, but it's probably not a demo in the fact that you get landed in like a random point in the game.
No. Yeah.
So basically, you can play games before committing to purchasing them. Sounds great, but there's a catch, obviously. As soon as you launch the game, there's a clock that ticks down. So, sorry. As soon as you download the game. So even downloading the game starts this timer.
Yeah.
Which is very stressful for Australian internet.
Yeah.
And I don't know we don't know yet if it's going to be across all games or certain games. But currently it's being offered in the UK and Canada for both Death Stranding, the Director's Cut, and Sackboy. which is
Both outstanding games, by the way. I highly recommend if you guys have a PS5, definitely recommend both of those games. They're great.
And yeah, so for those in the UK and Canada, the free game trials last 6 and 5 hours respectively, and will be available through October 28th. So I quite like this idea of a try before you buy.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Just that hitch is kind of annoying though. Like the part where you're downloading it and that counts towards it. That's kind of dumb because it's downloading the entire game. I'm assuming. Because like Jen said, it doesn't just drop you in a random pre-made level for a demo or something like that. Like it does give you the game right from the start, and you can try the game right from the start.
Yeah.
But downloading, for example, Death Stranding, that's quite a large game, and it does take quite a little bit to get into the meat of the game because it is, such a long game. So it's, I feel like you can't get a lot out of it at a 6 hour, or you can get a lot out of 6 hours if those 6 hours started when you hit play game, not when you hit download game, and I feel like if they want this to work, they're gonna have to change that to only start the timer when the game is ready to be played.
Yeah.
Like which it makes sense. It's kind of silly that they did do it this way.
When you download, you're not playing the game.
Yeah.
Why should
you're not playing the game? You don't get access to anything like that. Yeah.
It's weird.
I mean, having said that though, some games do have the ability to
play.
Like you can start playing once it reaches like 35% or something. So it's maybe trying to get around that, but like you could maybe just turn that feature off for the games if they're trying it before they buy it. Like,
or if they just
just make them
press the play button. That's when it starts.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of weird, but I don't know. It's but like Jen said, it probably doesn't matter for those that are in the UK and Canada because I'm assuming they have a lot better internet than we do down here, so they'll be able to download it lickety split. But for me to download a whole game like that in 6 hours, like it would take probably 4.5 hours for me to download Death Stranding director's cut as it is. So it's like, I've got an hour and a half left, and an hour and a half is like one cutscene in Death Stranding.
It is, yeah.
It's it's kind of silly, but I don't know. I'm all for it though. If they do change this like this timer thing, I'm all for it because I miss the days of trying a demo before you play it, because like Death Stranding, for example, Death Stranding is a very weird game. It's not a game for everyone. As much as I do say it's a great game, not everyone's gonna like it. So being able to at least try it and test it out before you do drop $95 on it or whatever is is a good deal. Like I feel like it's needed. Like you mentioned before, you don't think it's going to be on every single game. I feel like the developers have the choice of whether or not they want to allow it, which I feel like is a fair a fair thing.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of weird if Sony just offered it on their behalf.
I have a feeling it might not be on like very new games, so it might have to be like a month after release. Then you can.
Well, I feel like they're testing it on Death Stranding and Sackboy. A, because they have been out for a little while now. But B, because I feel like they're good examples of what the PS5 can offer. So obviously Death Stranding, the director's cut, it's got like all the high fidelity visuals. It's got like really nice environments and all that sort of stuff. For all the people that sort of want to sit back and sort of take a lot in. But then Sackboy, it's obviously targeted a lot more towards a younger audience and families and things. So I feel like they're trying to hit both demographics at the same time if they can. So I feel like that's why they picked those two games specifically. But who knows? Yeah, like you said, they could have a ruling as to a game has to be out for a specific amount of time. It wouldn't make sense in the case of Death Stranding Director's Cut because that did only come out like last week. And as much as Death Stranding has been out for a year now, the Director's Cut does add a bunch of new stuff to it. So it's a bit of a weird one. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see where they go with this. Like I'm all for it. I'm really excited for it. I hope they do roll it out for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
I've already played Death Stranding and I own Sackboy, so they're two games that I sort of won't download the demo for because they already know them and play them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's exciting. I'm down for it.
I do like the idea of it. I just feel like it needs a couple of, readjusting here and there, but I do like the idea of try before you buy. I think it's great. And especially for games where it's like for example, New World, you were thinking about playing it and you're like not sure about it. But if you could have tried it, well, there was a demo, but it was a timed demo. But if you can try it still, I feel like that's well worth doing it.
Yeah. Especially these days too, where games are getting so expensive. Like
the
PlayStation
games especially.
It's like I think it's $100
minimum
on the PlayStation Store. I can't remember. I think it's a bit cheaper than 120. Because it's sort of like a
PS5
re-release of it.
Generally.
Generally speaking, they should be like around $120. So it's like that's expensive to drop on a game that you're 50-50 split on.
Yeah.
And then you could make the argument, just go and watch a Twitch streamer play it, or just go and watch like a YouTube playthrough. But it's like it's not the same thing because sometimes the Twitch streamer or the YouTuber like they amp it up a lot and they obviously
they could be
to try and get
sponsored
views
by
and
them.
clicks and things. Exactly, like it's a whole sort of different thing. So it's
actually this made me think of you can't do it to physical copies. So you know how physical copies are generally a little bit more cheaper than digital copies.
Yeah.
So that,
I mean, you could download the demo of the game
and then go
be
buy
like,
the
this is kind
physical
of cool,
one,
and then head to Big W and pick it up. Yeah, like
okay,
because that's what we did for Sackboy 2 because we were like, I don't really want to pay like it was $125 for the PS5 version of the game.
Wow.
And so me and Emma were like, I don't really want to pay $125 for that.
Yeah.
But we waited a couple, like I think a month or two or something. And then EB Games did a sale for PS4 games and like some PS5 accessories and things like that. And so we managed to pick up the PS4 version of the game for like $50 or something.
I see.
And then a second PS5 controller, the DualSense controller, for like $80 or $90. And so we got both of those for practically the price of the PS5 version of the game. And it like the Sackboy game for PS4 came with a free upgrade to PS5.
Nice.
So we got the PS5 version anyways, just a little bit cheaper,
beautiful.
like. And so that sort of worked out for us. But obviously, like we said a couple of weeks ago too, Sony's now doing a flat $10 or $15.
Oh, we don't know the price.
Like
yet.
Upgrade price. I think it was in US dollars. They had it in, so it was like a weird conversion. But yeah, they're doing a flat like upgrade price for the future games that are coming out. So that's not going to be a thing anymore. You can't sort of bypass it and get it that way for free. Like it's So, but yeah. Very interesting. I'm excited for it. Like I said, 6 or 7 times now.
Yeah.
It's I hope they keep it and stick it around. Like it's I feel like it's a really good offering.
Marvel news.
All right, let's do the Marvel news. For those that haven't seen last week's episode of What If, the one with Vision and Ultron, I don't want to say too much more because it's going to spoil it. But if you haven't seen that episode and you don't want to hear spoilers, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. But if you did watch it, congratulations. You've made it to the weekly
the DLC.
Marvel Roundup. Yeah. We're not going to pay Apple 30% for this DLC, though. You get it for free, which is a great deal.
Aren't we kind?
Yeah, we're so nice. Jenz, what did you think about this episode?
Cool idea. I like the idea.
It's a very spooky idea, too. Like, it was,
I like how the is he the timekeeper? The overseer
the
guy?
Watcher, you mean?
Yeah.
So the Watcher is not like the timekeeper, but he just basically, as his name implies, watches. He can watch everything.
Is that his name?
He can
the
see
Watcher?
it's the Watcher. It's literally the Watcher. He can oversee every sort of timeline, every sort of multiverse, every sort of strand of reality he can see.
I like.
He's great. He's not meant to interfere with anything, though. That's his sort of whole gripe. He can interfere if he wants to, but there's going to be drastic outcomes for for things. And that's what we saw in this week was like, obviously it was sort of revolving around Clint and Black Widow, trying to sort of help save what remained of the world. And the Watcher had a kind of a big role in this compared to the past weeks where he had to sort of, stop himself from interfering
Yeah.
and, sort of let them naturally find things, because if he did interfere, it would just create this whole giant rift in reality and just screw things up even more. But like what I found really cool and really spooky was the fact that, Ultron, Vision Ultron, whatever you want to call him, became so aware of his surroundings that he was actually able to discover the Watcher, and it's just,
which I thought was so cool. I love that the Watcher was finally like involved.
He had like a bigger role than just sort of being the voiceover guy. Like it was really cool. This is probably one of my favorite episodes as well as some of the other ones that I've seen, because it was just like, I can't imagine being in that situation where, like, if in Avengers Age of Ultron, the MCU movie, like if Vision did actually become Ultron, this is what would have happened, because he just would have been that unstoppable. Like it's just such a daunting thing, and it sort of did service to Ultron as well, because a lot of fans were kind of disappointed that they killed him off so early and they didn't sort of keep him around for a little bit, because Ultron, like, he's a very popular villain in the comics, obviously, and he sort of is, as daunting as this version is. He can get insanely powerful and insanely strong. So it's cool they sort of brought him back in this way, and could sort of show what could have been. Like it's a very good episode, very good episode.
It's really cool. Really cool. And then the end when he tries to find Doctor Strange and says, "I need your help."
Yeah, see, I feel like that's gonna have this episode's gonna have a follow-up, because they left that so open-ended. I don't know if it's gonna be like on the day of recording. We're recording this on Wednesday, so we're getting a new episode tonight. I don't know if it's going to follow on directly onto episode 9, or if it's going to have, like, in a season 2, if they do a season 2, which I'm assuming they will, if it's going to have a second follow-on in there, because they left it so open-ended, like, and which they have for a couple of these episodes too,
all
but
of them have.
this one more so than some of the others, Like, I felt like this one was supposed to have a direct follow-on, but they just either didn't have the time, or they wanted to save it for a later date, or, what have you, but it's, this one, I don't know. Because, like, I thought it could play into the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness movie. Like,
that'd be cool.
Make a little bit of sense. Like, but I feel like that'd be kind of crazy, Like,
also, that movie's very far away.
Like, I know. When's it coming out?
Isn't it next year?
I think it's 2022. Let me have a look. 2022 film. Yeah. Release date's 25th of March, 2022. That could be a little bit different, because this news could be a little bit weird, but this is just me Googling it, so I'm not doing too much research. But it's, I feel like if anything, it's going to play into that, because, as we did say right before, like, all of What If started and things like that, we did a little recap of what to expect, and, they did say that, technically speaking, What If is canon. Like, it is happening in the MCU. It is an actual, thing that's happening in the timeline. It could be a different timeline, but it is happening. So, it could all play into an actual film. We don't know. We just sort of have to wait and see. But it's, it would be insane if the Watcher had to interact with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, or in any MCU film for that, example. Like, he could appear in the new Spider-Man movie that's coming out, because
that's the
Doctor
only
Strange
thing
is
I can
in
think
it.
of. Yeah.
Like, and I'm expecting Doctor Strange to also appear in some other things too, because he sort of is that type of character. Like, he controls so much of, reality and the timeline and all that, and he would have the most knowledge about it. So he's going to appear in a lot of different things in the coming future. So
I ain't complaining. More Cumberbatch, please.
Yeah, I'm down for it, man. I'm down for it. It's great. He's like the perfect casting for the character too. It could not be more perfect,
Yeah.
But yeah, super excited for the final episode of What If tonight, though.
Yeah, finale.
I do know roughly what it's about.
Oh,
I know
really?
It has Gamora in it, but that's it. Like, I don't know sort of anything else, because they just put the poster up. But yeah, can't wait for that. I'm definitely watching that as soon as it releases because I feel like it's gonna be a banger. I feel like they have to end on a bang, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully they tee up like a season 2, or they do like what they did,
Loki.
with who was it? Loki. Yeah, where like right at the end of the episode they do a what if we'll return for a season 2. You know?
Yeah. I reckon they will.
That'd be super cool. I think they have to. Like, I feel like a lot of people enjoy these, and they're so fun to watch compared to a lot of the other Marvel things. Like some of the other Marvel things, are like there's so much writing on it, and there's so much, like drama and action and stuff in it. But they're just fun. Like, and they're little, 25-minute snippets of just fun every week. They're cool. They're cool. I like them. Keep doing it, please, Marvel. Keep doing it. But yeah, I think that's everything for this week, Jenz. Was there anything that you wanted to add on before we wrap up for the week?
No, I think that is all.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing. That's pretty much it from me. So as always, guys, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next week for the big episode 40. I'm sure we have to think of something fun, but
yeah, we'll try.
I don't know. We'll try. Yeah, but thank you guys. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.